everybody, welcome to my channel. If you've never been here before, I hope you enjoy it. I talk a lot about Bigfoot and strange things that happen in the earth that a lot of people don't believe in, but I happen to. I've got a little bit of a twist on what I think it is. I try to put everything in relation to God, so if you don't like that, please look over it because that's just part of who I am. But anyway, you can like it or not. Leave your comments. I always try to answer everybody. Now, I put a link below to my last video about what happened on the property when the girls were swimming in a swimming pool, and we got some activity and we caught something on film walking through the woods. Make sure you go check that out so this will make more sense. So I'm giving you an update on the pool situation. And also I'm going to tell you some things that happened last year that started happening this year and give you a little bit of update. And then there's a little surprise footage in here. You can laugh at it if you want. It wasn't funny at the time, but it's kind of funny now. It happened while I was explaining the blackberry bushes by our house, okay? Now, the rest I want to talk to you about has nothing to do with that. So after you watch the updates and some of the little tidbits about the Bigfoot situation that went on, I'm going to tell you a story that ties in with being intuitive and going with your natural instincts. And then I'm going to tell you about an incident that happened to me when I was stalked by a maniac. Okay? All right, so enjoy this. I'll be back with you after the little footage is over. This is day 5 that we have not changed the water, and as you see, it's naturally getting darker. There's no dirt in the bottom, just bark and things falling off the overhang of the trees. We've not had any more activity here or anything happen since I put the game cam up that I have my back to right now. We have another problem now. This is my back deck. These motion lights have a switch on the bottom. On the bottom, I don't know if you can see, but yeah. And all the way over to its right is the on switch. Well, I come out, see, that's a motion light. But I come out here, see, I moved again and it came back on. I came out here and this switch was turned to off. Yeah, so I am finally tired of it. I've got some black tape because this happens all the time. There's another one on the other side that has the same problem. Let's go over there. It was turned to off also today. About 3 days ago at night, my husband, I think, and I both heard something under the deck, and I just figured it was a deer or something knocking around on stuff, okay? See, our deck is way off the ground. All right. So anyway, here's the other motion light. This is my yard, and that's the woods right on the edge. We leave that tall right back there for the baby turkeys. They need cover from hawks and things. Okay, here's the other light. And it came on when I walked over here, but it was also turned to off. Yeah. So I'm also going to put some tape on it so it doesn't get turned off again for about the 30th time this happens every summer. See, it came on because I moved. Okay. Okay, I have put tape all over the bottom of this, covered the switch. It should not go off again. If it does, they're gonna have to peel the tape back, and I'll know it's something with hands and not just a squirrel knocking it off, which I don't think a squirrel, even climbing up here, could turn that off. So many times it has been turned off because you have to turn it all the way over. One other strange thing I wanted to bring up is that these lights last year, we kept plugged in, and the next day, they're behind this bush too. The next day, they would be out, and there would be one broken every single night. until we decided not to plug them in anymore. We have left these bulbs off and hanging all winter, all spring, and all summer. We have not lit them this year. I may just do a test. But I'm here to tell you, not one single light has been knocked out since. So that blows the theory that it was squirrels knocking out the lights last year. Last year, when the lights kept getting knocked out, one night I was sitting in the den and I could hear little pieces of rock hitting, or something little, hitting the side of my house, and one of them even hit my kitchen window, and I thought someone's throwing little rocks out there. The next morning, I had a light under my kitchen window busted in one of those lights. So I don't know what the deal is, but something doesn't want lights. They're not trying to come in the house. They're just trying to get close to my deck. We do leave corn out for the deer, and as you can see, there's still seed up here that the raccoons will consume tonight. But what's turning off the switches on my motion lights? This is Bigfoot related. I believe they're coming near our home because they want these blackberries. The blackberries aren't ripe yet. They're still red on the vine. Oh, God! Something just stung the crap out of me. Ow! Oh! Jesus! A bee! Okay, so I guess you watched it. Isn't that weird? Sorry I had such a reaction when I got bit by the bee, but I didn't tell it in there, but the bee went straight down the front of my shirt. Okay, and that's where it zapped me. So I'm okay now. Thank God I'm not allergic to bees, because I'm here without, transportation right at this moment, and it wouldn't have been a good time to be alone. Okay, what I was going to talk to you about happened to me when I was about 18 or 19 years old. I'd graduated high school. I was on my own. I had my own job, and I had just moved into this garage apartment, a literal apartment above garages. A double car garage. It had one way in, up a tall flight of stairs, and it was a one bedroom, one bath, one kitchen, and a living room, dining room combination. It was a cute little thing. I really loved it. It was in South Texas, on the outskirts of Corpus Christi, Texas. There were some neighbors that lived to the right of the apartment, and then my landlady was just feet away from me in her house that kind of connected to it, but not really. It connected with a carport that was on the side of the house, that was the kind that was flat on top and had gravel on it. Well, my two of my bedroom windows butted up to this carport. No big deal. The carport's tall, right? I'm not worried. I feel really safe in this garage apartment. Well, that was false security, because it wasn't going to be that way at all. What happened is that I kept my windows open at night because there was no air conditioning, but it's always breezy in the Corpus Christi area because it's on the bay. And so you get a breeze no matter what. So you're not really as hot as you are in other places with no breeze when it's hot. So I'd leave the windows open at night and I'd sleep quite comfortably. This night I was laying in the bed reading a book, and I hear tap, 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 tap on the window to the right of me behind my head as I was laying in the bed with the window open. I was so scared, I got up and I went to the window, and my voice was shaking, and I said, "Who is out there?" But my voice was shaking really bad because I was scared to death. Nobody answered. I shut the window, I turned off the lights, and sat in the dark, terrified the rest of the night. The next morning, when I got up to get ready for work, I looked at the window and somebody had unlatched the screen. I know for a fact it was not unlatched before. There was a little hole made in the screen, like somebody stuck something through it and unlatched it. And that's all. I latched it back. I went to work. I told people what was happening to me, what happened, and how weird it was. And then, you know, time went on. I didn't have any more incidents and I was fine. About 2 weeks later, something else happened. I got up one morning, the screen was unlatched again, but this time there was a roll of wire laying on the carport, on the top of the roof of the carport underneath my window. Now my wheels are turning. Is somebody thinking about coming in my window and killing me? I didn't know, but I was terrified. So I started telling people. They said, nail your windows shut. So I did that. I nailed the windows shut. And that's the way it was. Nothing happened for like 2 more weeks. And then little bitty things would happen. I'd hear a knock on the window again. I was losing sleep because I was afraid to go to sleep because I was afraid somebody would come in and kill me before I had a chance to run, right? So anyway, I'm staying up at night. I'm getting paranoid. And so one night I was coming home from a gathering with some of my friends, and I noticed the neighbors who had a bunch of kids my age and younger were outside. And so I was suspicious, wondered if maybe it was some of them. And so I just got bold and I walked over and said, hey, have y'all seen anybody messing around my house? And it didn't take long for me to figure out that this group had nothing to do with what was going on. And they said, no, they never had, what was wrong, and they seemed genuinely concerned. Well, through the weeks, we began to be pretty good friends. You know, we talked together. They smoked pot, I smoked pot back then, so that's just what I did. Okay, like it or not, that I was a kid, okay? Well, anyway, so we still didn't figure it out, right? I had a friend during this time that was a guy, just a friend, and I had met him through an ex-boyfriend, and so he delivered papers early in the morning, and so every once in a while, and he had a girlfriend that lived past me, so every once in a while he'd stop with his girlfriend and ask if I wanted to go ride around with him for a while, and yeah, I'd go with him, you know, and then they started telling me that her dad didn't like her being out, and that's why they took me along, because he let her go because there was another girl in the car, blah, blah, blah. Well, so anyway, one night when I was coming home with this couple, and they were bringing me back to my house, and he was fixing to take her home, I'd already told him about the situation been going on at my house, and, you know, I didn't know what was going on, you know, that. And so we pulled in, and I didn't see anything. She didn't see anything, but obviously he evidently saw something, jumps out of the vehicle, opens the trunk, grabs the tool iron, and starts running behind the house like a maniac. Well, my friends that I'd met that lived next door happened to be out, and they watched him running around through the back of the house and coming back after that. And I said, what did you do that for? And he said, didn't you see that person run? There was somebody in your yard. And I went, what? Now I'm really paranoid, okay? So anyway, later after he let me off, I went and asked the neighbors, hey, did you see somebody in my yard? And they said, no, the only thing we saw was that weird guy, friend of yours, running through the yard with a tire iron. We thought he'd lost his mind. They said they didn't see anybody run off or anything. Well, so anyway, it got later and time went on, and during that time, I can't remember exactly how it happened. I had these people from next door at my house, and this same guy happened to stop by, and he wrote me a check for $500 and asked me if I would take it and move out of my apartment because he wanted to rent it so he could live near his girlfriend. I said, I am not taking $500 from you. There is no way I'm doing that. I tore the check out right in front of me. I'm not doing that, you know. And where would I go, you know? So he left. Well, a few days later, I hear a knock at the door, and I open the door, and there's this guy standing there, and he doubled up his fist, and he slammed his fist right past my head. I felt the wind and everything, and crashed his fist into the door facing of my outside of my door. Now, my friends next door saw him do it. This guy busted his knuckles, broke his hand, and he was bleeding. It was deformed and everything. And I am terrified, but I'm trying to be nice, you know. I'm saying, oh, no, why did you do that? Why would you, pretending like I didn't notice that he really wanted to hit me. That's what I felt. So, anyway, He just said he was upset because his girlfriend's dad wouldn't let him see her or something. So he hits my door facing with his knuckles. Did he really want to hit me? I didn't know, you know. So anyway, time went on, and there was another incident, and something else was left on that landing above the carport, and I'm trying to remember what it was. It was something sharp. I don't believe it was a knife, but I believe it was a screwdriver or something sharp was left there, along with this wire that I'd left there. And this particular night, I hear something walking. It sounds like on the carport. Little did I know, somebody had put a ladder up to the back of the house where they could just jump up on the carport. The ladder had been laying down behind the house. So somebody put that up there, okay, and got up there. I was so scared, and I was in my pajamas, and I remember it was September 6th because that wound up being this guy, one of the guys that lived there's birthday that night. I wound up marrying years later. Was married to him 10 years. Had 2 boys by him, okay? He's not my husband now, but that's how we wound up together through this meetings and stuff. Well, anyway, I run down my steps the only way out. I just felt like it was time to leave. I ran across the yard, and all I had on was this long gown, okay? And barged into these people's house without knocking with this steak fork in my hand. One of those long ones that you poke roast with and things. And I go, somebody's got to help me. Somebody's trying to break in my house and I'm scared. And I started telling them everything, you know, again. And the mother of these friends of mine urged me to call the police. So I did. Called the police, told them somebody tried to break my house. I was at the neighbors, gave them the address. They said, we'll send someone out. And so we all stood outside waiting for them, and somebody had a flashlight because it was kind of down in a gully, and we were afraid that they might drive right by and not find us. So we're waiting and waiting and waiting. It seemed like 45 minutes to an hour, and finally we see this cop car coming, and we hear a loud noise like an explosion, but then the car stops in front, and we go, oh, it's the police. They're here. So we're waving the flashlights, right? Well, these 2 nice-looking cops come down the road and say, can we help you? Said, yeah, are you the police that we called? Are you coming to investigate somebody messing around this girl's house? And they said, we didn't even hear anything about that. We just had a blowout right in front of the house. Now, was that a coincidence? I'm sorry, y'all. I believe that that was a divine intervention by God. I really do. I really do. So anyway, I began to tell them my story. I went to the very first part where somebody knocked on the window, where somebody unlocked it, where somebody left the coil wire there. When they wanted to go see it, I went and showed them everything. And that police talked to me that night, and he said, I want to tell you something, young lady. I had another girl that I had to go and talk to her. She was having the same kind of trouble. And he said, maniacs and deranged people that want to harm you will start out doing little things like that. And then they'll escalate to bigger things and bigger things and bigger things until one day they get tired of that and they break in. He said, I warned this girl that was having the same problem to get out. Don't stay in that house another night. Don't take a chance. Get out. Find you place to live. Don't stay there. He said, well, unfortunately, she didn't believe me. And the next time I was called to her address, it was to investigate a murder. Somebody had tied her up and cut her up and killed her. So he went on to say, as I'm standing there speechless, I'm urging you, go with your instincts. You know that something's up and something's wrong. Do not ever doubt your natural instincts trying to keep you safe. You knew you were in danger tonight and you ran. You need to get out of here. I don't want to come and investigate another murder because this person is not right in their mind and they have bad thoughts in their head and they're going to carry it out sooner or later. Don't be their victim. And so I'm thinking, where am I going to go? And the mother of the house turned to me and said, go get your stuff. You're moving in here. That was the end of my terror. That was the end of me seeing this friend that used to come around. That was the end of all of that situation. And it didn't dawn on any of us until years later. We were sitting around discussing the guy that they had nicknamed Rude Dude because he was always rude to them. Every time he'd come over and I was talking to them or they were at the house, it was like he was angry that I wasn't alone. It was angry that there was somebody there. And they named him Rude Dude because he was rude. I remember his first name, don't remember his last. I wish I did. I'd try to look him up. He's probably in jail. I don't know. But anyway, we figured out it was him all along doing that. He was doing that. He was the one doing that. He delivered newspapers early in the morning. This always happened early in the morning because I like to stay up really, really late and read. And plus, I didn't want to go to sleep because I was scared. And he was the one that wanted to hit me but didn't. He was the one that offered me money to get out and I didn't. He was the one that did all this. He really didn't see anybody at the back of the house. He was trying to cover his own butt. And that's why he had the tire iron. That's why. So anyway, I never lived alone again after that, ever. And, that was scary to me. It really, really messed with my head. There's really people out there that are nuts. And I happened to run into one and here to tell it today because I listened to a very wise young policeman that didn't want me to be another victim that he had to investigate. Okay, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I talk about UFOs, I talk about dreams, I talk about things that are weird. I still have to talk about a video about Satan. I haven't put that on yet. It seems like it keeps getting delayed. There's a lot of things I want to talk about, but this just came to me today. It kind of fit with what's going on out here right now with weird things happening all the time. Like, is there another crazy person? Well, you know what? I'm armed with way more than a pitchfork this time. I mean, a steak fork. I'm armed with way more than that. I have loaded weapons, a shotgun that'll blow a big hole in. I'm like, this. I'd hate to kill anybody, but I'm not going to let them kill me. I will take care of myself. I have a 9mm. I know how to take care of myself. Plus, they're going to get caught on camera because they're all over the place. But anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Y'all, if you haven't listened to the other videos, like I was telling you, I'm putting some links below. And I'm okay, by the way. Thank God I wasn't allergic to bees. And anyway, talk to you later. Goodbye.